friends. Today in Circle, we learned about Georgia O'Keeffe and how she liked to paint things from nature really big. Now I want to read this story to you called My Name is Georgia, and this is a portrait by Jeanette Winter. Georgia O'Keeffe was born on a farm in Wisconsin in 1887. That was over 100 years ago, so this happened a long time ago. When I was 12 years old, I knew I wanted to be an artist. I've always known what I wanted. When I was small, I played alone for hours and hours and hours. I was satisfied to be all by myself. There she is, playing in the fields with her little dollhouse. I did things other people don't do. When my sisters wore sashes, I didn't. When my sisters wore stockings, I wore none. Look what else she doesn't have on. Any kind of shoes or boots. And when my sisters wore braids, I let my black hair fly. I rode to town every Saturday to copy pictures from the stack in the art teacher's cupboard. Look how she goes to school, in a horse-drawn carriage or wagon, an open top. At home, I looked out my window and drew pictures of what I saw. What does she see out her window? What season do you think that is? I'm guessing winter. A lot of snow, snowflakes. Maybe I could make something beautiful. At school in Chicago, I drew from statues in the museum. There's some statues, and she's painting them. And at school in New York, I painted one still life painting a day, every day. At school, I painted my teachers' ideas, probably what they suggested she paint. Let's see, I see lots of still lifes of flowers and fruit. Here's a bottle and some more fruit. Here's fruit and more flowers. So those are all still life paintings she painted at school. Lots of different versions. Can you imagine painting a big one every single day? But when school days were over, I went out into the wide world to discover my own ideas. She's got her bags packed. Off she goes. I went to the Texas Plains. Plains are flatlands. Lots of maybe small rolling hills, but very, very flat, and probably lots of fields where either grass grows or crops grow. I went to the Texas Plains, the Wild West of my childhood books. You have never seen sky. It is wonderful. Because it's flat, you can see for miles and miles and miles. And that means a lot of big sky. I walked into the sunset. I felt the wind across the plains. And I painted the sunset and the sky and the wonderful loneliness and emptiness of the place. I painted day and night. I worked till my head all felt light in the top. I have things in my head that are not like what anyone has taught me. Shapes and ideas. But I bundled up my paintings and went to New York City. to be where other artists lived. I walked down the canyons of steel. So canyons are huge stone or rock walls, usually out in the west of the United States. She's calling these buildings like big rock walls because they're hard and they go straight up really, really high. And they're made of steel. So canyons of steel. I lived high up in the clouds and painted what I saw from my window. See her up there in the tall building? But sometimes what I saw from my window was the far away calling me. She felt drawn back to places outside of the big New York City. I painted a garden in the city. I wanted everyone to see flowers the way I saw them. I looked closely at the flowers. Here she's looking at a calla lily. That's a white flower that grows tall. I painted a camellia. I painted it big so people would notice. I painted a jack-in-the-pulpit. I painted it big so people could see. Look at the size of that flower. It's coming off the canvas. So big. I painted poppies and petunias and sunflowers and jimson weeds and irises and apple blossoms. Those are all flowers from different kinds of plants or trees. My garden bloomed until everyone saw the flowers the way I saw them. But still, I looked to the sky. The distance has always been calling me. I went to the New Mexico desert, so far away that no one ever comes. I was satisfied to be all by myself. It was too dry for the flowers to grow, but there were bones. And look at this bone. The sun has beaten down on it, so it's very dry and all bleached out from the sun. I gathered the bones, big bones, little bones, short bones, long bones, a cow's skull, a horse's skull, a ram's skull, and brought the bones home to paint. Which one do you think is the ram? This one. They have curly horns on their heads. One day I held one up against the sky and saw the blue through that hole. So I painted what I saw. Can you see the blue coming through that skull? Those are probably the eye sockets. Wonder what kind of animal that one was. Something large, a big head. Maybe a buffalo or a bison. I'm not sure. I saw the sky and the red hills. I walked in the hills at daybreak and twilight, at noon and in starlight. I painted the arms of two red hills, reaching out to the sky and holding it. Here's the two red hills. And they're, in her mind, it looks like they're reaching up to the sky and holding it. I painted the Paternal Mountain in the far away. I painted it over and over and over again, and then again and again. God told me if I painted that mountain enough, He'd give it to me. It's a lot of paintings of one mountain. I drove my Model A, that's a type of old car, across the desert and back, up and down over the hills. I painted in my studio on wheels until the afternoon bees chased me home. Even in winter, I went far out into the far away and painted in the bitter cold. I painted when the wind was so strong it nearly blew me away. Looks like she even has to hold on to her canvas in that wind. I did things other people don't do. I climbed my ladder to the night sky to wait for the sun. I slept under the stars to see the morning sky when I woke. Do you spy the skull in one of these pictures? Right there. Good eye. I stayed in the desert. My hair turned from black to gray, to white as the bones. I still walked the red hills. My pile of bones grew, my flowers bloomed in the desert, and the Pedernal was mine. See her at the top of the mountain? She feels like it's hers. And the sky, oh, it was so wonderful. I painted the sky one more time. I painted my sky big so people would see the sky the way I did. I worked from dawn to dusk every day for months, for weeks and months. Then, as I painted the last cloud, the sun slipped behind the Pedernal. I laid my brushes down. Kiss the sky for me. Can you blow the sky a kiss? Georgia O'Keeffe lived to be 98 years old. That's almost 100. In museums all across the land, people see her flowers, her deserts, her hills, her cities and skies the way she did. I sure like her artwork. And I hope you liked that book about Georgia O'Keeffe.